Hello. So today on the Inside Look, I was able to track our associate Lamar down and have him talk to us about the biggest mistakes. I think the three biggest mistakes that men make in relationships. And so I thought it's just great information to help all the guys out there. And we also threw in a tip or two for some women. And so I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. All right, let's get to it. Here with the fabulous Lamar E. Lewis today. We're so excited to have him on staff here. And today we're going to talk about, I'm so excited to hear everything he has to say on this topic. And like, I just want you guys to have itching ears because we're going to talk about the three biggest mistakes men make in relationships.
Just
And
three?
so,
It's just three
Lamar,
mistakes.
well, you know what? We whatever time allows, because if you got wisdom, we want it. Like we want it.
Amen. Amen.
And so and we're going to specifically talk about the mistakes that men are making in relationships.
For
But
sure.
if you're going to sneak a couple in there for the ones that women are making too with men,
Oh,
that'll probably be invaluable,
let me put a little
helpful.
note right
Feel like you
there.
might
Okay.
save some people out here if we
All
could just
right.
get them a little bit of information. Because I know I've had just a couple of every now and then that even I'm like, you did what? How? Nah, that wasn't gonna work. The funniest story I can remember is a wife trying to initiate sex during the not the Super Bowl, but the World Series.
Ah,
And so she's like, I don't understand why it wouldn't work. You don't understand?
no.
I'm so sorry, baby. Let me
No.
break it down to you. There are a couple
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that
That's
even
that's
people will say, let's do sex later on. The World Series is one
y-
of them. And I'm
yeah.
so sorry that you didn't
NBA
know that.
finals,
Right, right,
a big
right,
time boxing
right,
match, some guys
right.
like wrestling. Like there's
With
a certain
that,
things, yeah, like
it's certain
WrestleMania, like
things,
certain, yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
certain things.
Super
You just,
Bowl,
and
national
so,
championship, yeah, yeah. Final
right,
four,
right.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so, I love women. I love women. I'm a woman. Like we're
I love
fabulous.
I love women too for sure.
But sometimes, we make some missteps. Some missteps. Just
As do we,
missteps.
as
All
men.
right. So here I give you the floor. Tell me. So biggest mistakes men make in relationships.
Okay. Biggest mistakes I find that men make in their relationships. Probably one of the biggest is just a lack of emotional intelligence, emotional awareness, and just the language to use around how they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Coupled with that kind of like their ability to advocate for themselves, especially like what they want out of a relationship, particularly sexually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the things that I find is that especially men in my generation. I just turned 40 last year. So like men born in like the 80s and the 90s and stuff. They of course older guys too, but we we're kind of at the tail end of like the shift where people were kind of becoming more okay with men being in touch with their emotions. And
Mm,
we're kind of in that weird space where a lot
yeah.
of us men don't really know. I didn't know. I was raised by my grandfather. My dad wasn't around.
Right.
So, my granddaddy's be 80 this year. So like his
Wow.
um, you know, he was 12 when Emmett Till got killed. You know what I mean? Like there was
Yeah.
different men back then. It's just certain stuff he just
Yeah.
didn't do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we don't know. Like, I didn't know. And my mom raised me majority of my life. And then my stepdad came in when I was 12. I'm using myself as an example, right?
Yeah.
He's military. So,
Oh,
you have this suck it up, deal with it. My mom raised me hard. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Back that
Yeah.
was like in the 90s when, Boys and Men, Men's Society was out and everything was like gang related and, we
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
crack epidemic and all that stuff going on. So my mom's trying to raise us tough so that we can be, making it in the world and all of that.
Yeah.
And what I find is that a lot of men have that same thing. Coupled
Yeah.
with that, being raised in the church, right?
Yeah.
Um, there's not a lot of emotional um awareness being taught. Like, it's
True.
just not in my
Right.
experience.
Right.
Um Spirituality for sure, but what that does emotionally or whatever, how that impacts us emotionally, not. So that's a big thing. A lot of men just don't know. They really
Yeah.
have no clue. I have men tell me like, man, I don't even know what's going on. But I just feel weird. And we
Oh,
have to spend
wow.
time really teasing that out. Like, what does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah.
How does that feel? What does it smell
Yeah.
like? What does it taste like? Really getting all the way down to the nitty gritty, because some men just really do not know.
Yeah.
Um,
I can get that.
yeah, and a lot of us are really taught to that emotions are feminine, right? So if you cry, that's feminine. Being
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable is feminine.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a prevalent thing. Like, what man, I put that in quotes. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Wants to be considered feminine. You
Right?
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I ain't
Yeah.
saying it's right or wrong. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So a lot of men, when I see them or when I come to them with couples, like they find me because they don't really want to talk to another woman about what they dealing with. They always feel like, and this is something I hear a lot. I'm gonna use this term specifically.
Okay.
They feel like their emotions are weaponized against them.
Yeah.
So they are super cautious. And if they can't
Yeah.
talk to their friends about it,
Yeah.
where do they go? So they just sit with this
Right.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
So a lack of emotional intelligence and
Yeah.
language. And I don't even say a lack of it. Let me reframe that. I don't even say a lack of it, just a lack of what to do with it. Not
Yeah.
really understanding what to do with their emotions. I think men are intelligent about our emotions. I don't think we know what to do with them. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So
Okay.
like, yeah, okay, yeah, I know I'm mad. I know I'm sad. I know I'm this. I know I'm that.
Yeah.
Now it's always the now what. So
Right.
that would be
What's on the
that.
other side of that?
Right, right. What do
Yeah.
I do with this? And I think that's,
Mm-hmm.
something I struggle with. Like, what do I do with these emotions that I'm now aware of,
Yeah.
that I spend so much of my life suppressing? Now I have to deal with them so I can help other people deal with them. So what do I
Gotcha.
do with this when I feel like this? So I think that's another thing. One other aspect I see is healthy expressions of their sexual identity. What I find a lot now is a lot of men have, I don't want to use the term experiment, but for lack of a better term right now, experimented with other men, or,
Mm-hmm.
so then they question, are they gay or not? Are they
Yep.
bisexual and they on the spectrum? Maybe they
Yeah.
did it for a period of time and it's not something that they really liked, or,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. Or,
Yeah.
I go to this back to the church aspect of it, which comes up a lot in my clients, is that um they were taught that certain aspects of sexuality are wrong or immoral, but it's something that they want to do or they want to try, they want to engage
Yeah.
in. So they struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously pornography plays a gigantic role in that, in men's sex
Yep.
education, in my
Yep.
experience.
Yep.
They learn, I was like that. It wasn't like somebody was telling me what was healthy, what was not. Once you stumbled on a Playboy or stumbled on, back in my
Mm-hmm.
day, it was VHS, but you stumbled on the tape, you're like, oh, what is this? And now you're curious,
Right.
like, what, I like
Yeah.
this. What do I do with this kind of thing?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's definitely like all of that, and more just plays a factor in how men can express their sexuality in a healthy way. Um, like the concept of anal, for example, just giving a good
Yep.
example.
No,
Like,
that's a good example.
whether, playing with it, receiving it, giving it, whatever the case may be, even in a cisgender heterosexual relationship, a lot of men are just like, ugh, I don't want to do none of that. That may be gay.
Right.
Fighting, that kind of thing. Like, no, it's like the
Yeah.
spectrum of sexuality, bro. If that's something you into, like, just,
Something you into.
but
Just is what it is.
cultural
Your
stuff
butt
comes into
don't
that.
know who touching you. Like, come on. Yeah.
But culturally, there's so much stuff that goes into that. It's just kind of like
Right.
real crazy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like healthy expressions of their sexual identity is a big thing. Or feeling like, one thing that back to this pornography thing that I found, a lot of men end up getting into pornography as heavy as they do because they don't want to cheat.
Yes. That's
So they'll
big.
watch porn to get whatever like sexual gratification they want
Mm-hmm.
out of it,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not going to get that with their spouse, significant other, partner, whatever.
Right.
And this, again, this is heterosexual and homosexual relationships I've counseled. And so they're like, well, I just watch some porn.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the science behind it, what it reinforces, all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And then they end up creating a whole nother issue, because
Mm-hmm.
then they just, get that dopamine hit and they just keep doing it over and over.
Right.
Then they're like, I don't even really want to have sex anymore. I can just watch porn to get what I need.
Yeah.
And it causes all another set of issues. So
Whole nother set of issues.
all of that and more, just examples of mistakes men make about being able to express their sexuality in a healthy way.
Okay.
Lastly, which kind of I think undergirds all of this, is clarifying what a man or what manhood is, right?
Gotcha.
there's no real specific
Yeah.
definition. We have
Yeah.
like these cultural definitions, we have these
Mm-hmm.
societal definitions that may or
Mm-hmm.
may not fit us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult for men to kind of develop their own sense of what a man is. A lot of times it's still very, I told you my granddad raised me. So
Yeah.
I was raised under, you work, you
Yeah.
take care of the house, you know what I'm saying? With that though, I can remember being told, hey man, I don't care if she's sick, her leg broke, whatever. If you want it, she's supposed to give it up. I remember being told that by older men in my family.
Oh
Don't care what's
wow.
going on. If she on that time of the month, she got to do something else. Like there's no reason for her not to please you if you taking care of the household. This is what I was told.
Mm-hmm.
And when you told that your whole life, then you get
Yeah.
into relationships and you're expecting certain things based on this information that you're given. You create in your mind
Yeah.
like this is what this is supposed to be like. And when it's
Yeah.
not that could be very jarring and demoralizing. So that was definitely for
Mm-hmm.
me specifically something that I remember
Mm-hmm.
being told. But I was raised by older guys. You know what I'm saying? Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
my dad wasn't around. So being
Right.
raised by men of a certain generation, you're gonna get certain bits of information.
Yeah.
And so I think that, as time has progressed and we try to expand what a man or what manhood is, I think there is some benefit to that. I think the other part of that though is that you lose some of the good stuff that traditionally I feel like, like I said, I do feel like a man should provide for his family. Not by himself. And not that
Right.
that gives
Right.
him, but just that I feel like a man should take care of his family.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah. What
You
does
know
that
what I'm
look
saying?
like?
And that's the real, okay, is it just money? Because I can work, we can make money, but like, what about when people in my family need me? Like, how do I
Yeah.
respond to that from an
Yeah.
emotional standpoint, or
Yeah.
just being steady and consistent? Because you
Mm-hmm.
can make money and just never be home or never be present
Mm-hmm.
when you're home. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people deal with that. So it is what it is. But I think that what that definition of manhood is becoming a bigger issue because so many men don't know, especially if you didn't have a dad around consistently and you kind of had to piecemeal what a man is
Mm-hmm.
from various people in your life. You may have
Yeah.
gotten some dysfunctional examples. And to be fair, a lot of people, like I said, old generation, they didn't know. They just knew what they knew. This is what they
Right.
were taught. You know what I'm saying? They was taught this. So this is
Mm-hmm.
they gave it to us. And but I think that we're starting to see that some of the stuff didn't work, some of the stuff does. We
Right.
just got to figure out what works for us. But I think
Right.
as a whole, men, especially when it comes to sex, right? Men, I guess a good example. I was talking to somebody about this a few days ago. Like, men are expected to like see their partner, see a woman, and instantly be aroused, instantly be erect, instantly have sex. Because that's just what we're told. Like, men are always horny, they
Yeah.
want sex all the time,
Right.
and all that stuff, right? That's what men are told.
Yeah.
What we're told as society. So a
Yeah.
man feels bad if he can't perform already. He already feels bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
expecting in his mind, he's expecting a man should be erect and
Yeah.
ready to
He's supposed to
perform
be
all the time.
right.
Right now, she's
Right.
naked, she's ready, you got to give it up.
Yeah.
Conversely, speaking of some things that women can learn, can do, a lot of times I found that women internalize that as them either not, being sexy or arousing or whatever, or they expect him to be aroused instantly, like, hey, I'm ready to have sex. Why aren't you ready to have sex? Kind of thing. And that creates
Right.
other issues. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but again, it's because a man is supposed to always want sex and always be ready to have sex, not equating all this other stuff that happens in life that male or female could take away your desire at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as men mature,
Yeah.
it's not like I tell people all the time, like, when I was 18, the wind could blow, I'd be ready to go. The wind,
Right.
yeah, I'd be in the middle of a hurricane going to work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
whatever.
I
But
remember one time, and I can't remember who it was or the conversation or anything. I just remember him saying, oh, I remember the day my head connected to my dick or my heart connected to my dick. He was like,
it's
just
different.
everything changed. Like
It
wasn't no just because of the wind, just because she was fine. Like it just everything changed.
And as you get older, like, you need more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I need to be respected. You can't be cussing me out and calling me out my name and still think I'm gonna jump your bones. Like
at all.
Right.
I just had this conversation with the clients I just saw before we got on here. Like, if you view every interaction as negative, then you want me to desire you and I'm still mad about you calling me stupid or whatever. Like I'm cool. You know, then what happens? I just watch some
Right?
porn and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you end up,
Yeah.
and that's what happens. Like it's crazy how
Hey,
that cycle, and it's just so. Yes, that's
I
exactly
think
what
I
happens.
want women to know that
Mm-hmm.
because women can do a lot in their heads about porn and why he watching porn and all of that, and
Right.
they can just I mean, I've seen it, I've experienced it. Like they just can go all the way over and above. Like, how did you
Mm-hmm.
get there?
Right.
With that,
Right.
but like simply understanding porn is a fantasy world. We all like to be in fantasy worlds.
For
That's why
sure.
Netflix is making as much money as
For
they are
sure.
making,
Mm-hmm.
because we all like to escape into a fantasy world.
For sure.
Now, definitely, if my reality is not bringing me anywhere near the amount of pleasure that my fantasy world is, and I can pick up my fantasy world on my phone
Anytime.
anytime, I'm gonna go through the fantasy
One
world.
hundred
I mean,
percent.
it is what it
It
is.
is, and to that point about something that women, any suggestions for women you mentioned, and I think that all
Mhm.
plays into this, right?
Yeah,
Is this basically getting out of your head, right?
please. Yeah.
There's this something one of my colleagues used to say when I was doing an internship. She said like, oh, I'm saying it different than her, but what the
Right.
concept I took away from is like when you went through your list of things you wanted in a partner, like mind reading wasn't on the list,
That's
but you
good.
expect that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And like I tell people, like your partner ain't Professor X. Like they can't go into your mind and read what you're saying. But
Right.
like this word, I call it a cuss word. So hopefully people remember this. This is the cuss
Okay.
word to me. If you say this word to me, I'm gonna tell you stop cussing at me. And my clients, they get to the point where they like, oh my bad, Lamar, I'm cussing at you. I'm sorry. But like the word should.
Ooh.
Oh man, should is a cuss word
Yes.
to me. They'll be like, yo, he should know. You
No.
should know.
Mm-mm.
And it's like,
Mm-mm.
should I?
Right.
Says who?
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But
Right.
like, I had this conversation even in my relationship, and it's like, yo, like, I don't know. You think
Yeah.
I should know, but I don't know, and I won't know unless you tell me.
Yeah.
But like, we have this belief of like mind reading, like you said, creating these whole stories in our head that
Mm-hmm.
just may or may not be accurate. And the only
Mm-hmm.
way to get them out is to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking when you do blank. And is this,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Oh, that's
and
excellent. That's such an excellent tool. I
yeah.
think if we could just teach every couple
Mm-hmm.
that right there, that there's a story in my head and
Mm-hmm.
it is probably not true. Like that right there. Just the whole conversation will start differently. Because now you can start with, okay, the story in my head is this.
Mm-hmm.
What's the truth?
Right.
What does that mean? The
Exactly.
story in my head is that you're watching porn because I gained 10 pounds and you don't want to have sex with me anymore. What's the truth?
Right.
Well, the truth is, you cussed me out, remember?
Right. Well, the truth is, I want to try
Mm-hmm.
this particular style of sex that
Mm-hmm.
you've already told me you're not interested in. So
Yep.
now I still
Yep.
have this desire. What
Yep.
am I supposed to do with it? So
Mm-hmm.
instead of me going and finding it,
Mm-hmm.
going on some website and paying somebody to do or whatever the case, however people get that need met,
Right.
I'm gonna just go ahead and watch this.
Yeah.
Now, again, we don't often know, like you said, that this is a
Yeah.
fantasy. This isn't real.
Yeah.
Somebody's being
Yeah.
paid to be there, or
Right.
just movie magic takes place because
Right.
it's still a movie, right? We
Mm-hmm.
don't know all of this. So then that
Mm-hmm.
reinforces again some of those stereotypes, like, oh, she always
Yep.
has to be this viscous,
Yep.
he always has to be this erect, and it has to be this long, like all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, which ain't reality, but in our
Yeah.
mind it reinforces that. But at the end of the day, we're
Yeah.
just trying to get a need met. I just really want to see blank. I want two women. This is what I want today, and I
Right.
can't get it at home, so let me just go ahead and just watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm
It's
something.
one more truth on that, and then we are
Yeah.
running out of time, and so we're gonna have to like do more of these.
Oh, for sure.
The other truth that could be out there is, you know what? It ain't got nothing to do with you gaining weight. I also gained a little weight, and now I don't know
That's the fact.
if everything gonna work like
That's the
it used
fact.
to work,
That's the
because when I
fact.
was masturbating the other day, something was different.
That's the fact.
And so, as opposed to show up on the field with you
That's a fact.
I'm gonna be in
I'm gonna
fantasy
be in
world.
fantasy world,
Because in
and
fantasy world, I don't have to
yeah,
worry about disappointing nobody. I don't have to
yeah,
worry about
that's a
equipment
fact.
malfunctions.
That's a fact.
I don't got to worry about nothing.
That
It's
right
so
there is a
safe
fact.
over here in fantasy
It's
world.
safe. There's no
Safe,
expectations. You know what
none.
I'm saying?
Ain't got to worry
There's
about
nobody
hurting
going to
you. You
tell
being
me
disappointed
yes,
in me,
no. Right. If I say something, you're gonna be offended by it.
right?
If I say something, if I want something super duper, I don't know if extreme is the proper word, but for lack of a better term, something a little more alternative, something different that you may not be with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can explore this on my own and not
Yeah.
feel judged. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
you said, if I'm
Yeah.
by myself and I finish a little quicker,
Yep.
I ain't got nobody else to worry about to please. But if I'm
No.
with you and I
Nope.
finish quick, it's a whole nother set of issues. Like all
Right.
these different things that, or
Yeah.
if I'm by myself and I lose my
Yeah.
erection for a minute,
Yeah.
who cares? You know what I'm saying? But if
Right.
I'm with you, that's a whole thing. So
Right.
it's definitely
Yeah.
and I never put it this way before, but this conversation is making me frame it differently. Like porn is often used to solve a problem, not realizing that it creates more problems.
It
When we look
does.
at it to solve various problems in our relationships, like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I just do this, or oh, let's watch porn together. Like all these different, and not saying all this stuff is
Yeah.
wrong, just
Right.
saying that you got to be aware of all potential ramifications that may come with it. So, yeah, that's
Definitely
definitely
so.
one of the things for sure. For sure.
Okay, well, we're gonna cut this short for today.
I feel like we just got
We gotta
started, man.
go. I do too. Like, oh man,
Yeah,
we can
30
talk
minutes ain't gonna be enough.
because
You have to get an
next time
hour and then chop it up. Yeah,
we're gonna
chop
have
it
to
up.
chop it up. We're gonna have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah. You
because
chop it up a bit more. So.
now that we've just had this conversation, I realize how many how just me as a woman in my personal life, we as women aren't talking about at all insecurities that men have with their penises. We don't
100%.
know. We have, I know this as a therapist because I've seen it in session, but I don't get this information in the world
For sure.
anywhere
100%.
about those insecurities, and that could be the reason why he's still downstairs on the couch watching porn instead of in the bed with me. We never talk about that.
That's a fact.
So okay, so we're gonna have to start talking about that. Hey, all right, my dear sir. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate you.
And people
man,
out
I feel
there
like
in
we
the
just
world,
got started.
We
Man.
did just get started. We good, but we're gonna do more of this. We're gonna do more of this. We got to do more of this.
For sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Because we can run it.
Yeah, that
was do a podcast or something because like this is good stuff because it's good stuff and it's real stuff. And the thing that I like about sex therapy the most is I feel like I've always felt like we're helping people with their most private pains.
100%.
Private pains.
100%.
And so in closing, if anybody out there, reach out to us. Atlanta Sex Therapy is the main website. You should be able to find a phone number, email address on there somewhere to be able to get in contact with us. If you have a question, just call us and let us know, and then we'll figure out how to get it on a YouTube video or get that answered for you. So,
indeed,
all right.
Indeed.
Have a great day, my dear sir.
Thank you.
All right, bye. I hope you enjoyed our content today. We are here at Atlanta Sex Therapy to serve. If you did like our content, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Also, click the little bell so you can get notifications when we put new videos out. People don't know what sex therapists do, and we're trying to get the information out there and spread the word. So I'm going to ask you to send this to 3 people because you never know who may be in need of more good information about sex. Thank you, and just have a wonderful day in life.